On the afternoon of March 31, 2018, Henry and Beatrice Pipkin came home to Springdale Street in Memphis. In their yard, the court record says, there was blood. On the patio. In the grass. On the side of the house. A red tennis shoe was nearby. The trail led along a fence, toward a vacant lot. And there, only a few buildings from the Top Stop shop, was the body of 17-year-old Dorian Harris.
Public Court Record. State of Tennessee v. Anwar Ghazali. Court of Criminal Appeals at Jackson. Judgment of the trial court affirmed.
This is the beer, the clerk, and the 2-day silence, the case of Dorian Harris. This episode is based on the Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals opinion in State of Tennessee v. Anwar Ghazali and public court records. Where the record describes testimony, arguments, or disputed evidence, we will say so. The beginning of the case is ordinary enough to feel almost invisible. A neighborhood store. A regular customer. A clerk behind the register. The appellate opinion places Dorian Harris at the Top Stop shop on Springdale Street on the evening of March 29, 2018. He was 17.
The victim was described as a regular customer at the establishment. The defendant was a store clerk at the Top Stop shop and was working the register that evening.
Then the record narrows. Dorian came around the building. A plank hit the exterior wall. He entered the store and went to the cooler. Witnesses later testified that he took 2 beers. One fell as he ran out.
The witness testimony was direct. The defendant picked up a gun from behind the counter and ran to the door. One witness said she told him not to kill Dorian. It was just a beer.
That warning is one of the starkest moments in the record. Not because it is dramatic. Because it is simple. It names the scale of the thing before it happens. A beer. A gun. A teenager running away.
Witnesses testified that Ghazali left the store property and fired in Dorian's direction. The exact number differed. One witness described 5 or 6 shots. Another heard 3 or 4. The opinion records testimony that after the shooting, Ghazali returned to the store and said words to the effect that he thought he had hit Dorian.
And then comes the silence. No emergency call was made that night to Springdale Street about either a theft or gunshots. One witness drove slowly down the street looking for Dorian, but did not see him. Another did not want to get involved.
No emergency calls made on March 29, 2018, to Springdale Street, in reference to either a theft or gunshots.
When police later took a statement from Ghazali, his version was different from the witnesses'. The court record says he acknowledged grabbing the .40 caliber Glock from behind the counter and running after Dorian. But he said the shots were warnings.
He said he aimed the gun up to fire warning shots. He said he only fired twice. He said he did not call police because he did not hit Dorian.
2 days passed. Dorian's grandmother testified that she believed he was staying with his cousin, and did not expect him home until Saturday. That detail would matter later, because on appeal the defense pointed to the lack of a missing person report. On Saturday afternoon, the Pipkins returned home from mowing. Their daughter noticed blood. Henry Pipkin followed the trail around the house, toward the fence, and toward a vacant barber shop lot. The body appeared to have been there for some time.
When police arrived around 4 p.m., officers observed dried blood on the window and fence, a red shoe near the window where the blood was, and the victim's body next to the fence.
Officers also found blood spatter on a vacant home nearby. 3 shell casings were recovered near Springdale Street and Howell Street, across from the Top Stop shop. The store had 24 security cameras. 16 captured what happened from several angles.
The video showed the victim going to the cooler, getting 2 beers, running out of the store, and dropping one of the beers. The defendant was seen picking up a gun, running out the door, and pointing the gun in the same direction the victim was running.
Forensic testing linked the cartridge casings near the store to the Glock kept behind the counter. But there was no recovered bullet matched to the weapon. That gap became part of the defense argument.
The autopsy determined the cause of death to be a gunshot wound to the thigh. The death was classified as a homicide. The medical examiner testified that the wound perforated the superficial artery.
The medical evidence was important, but it should be handled carefully. The court record says the wound could have caused rapid bleeding, though the timing could vary depending on whether pressure was applied. The point is not to linger on injury. The point is that Dorian did not get help. On appeal, the defense argued that the evidence was insufficient. They pointed to the 2-day delay, to common gunfire in the neighborhood, to the fact that no one reported Dorian missing, and to the lack of a recovered bullet proving one from Ghazali's gun struck him.
The defense position was that the state had not proved, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Ghazali fired the shot that killed Dorian.
The state answered with the whole chain: witness testimony, surveillance footage, cartridge casings, Ghazali's own statement, and the medical evidence. The appellate court viewed the evidence in the light most favorable to the state, as the law requires after a conviction.
The court held that a rational juror could conclude that the evidence was sufficient beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, and not another unknown person, inflicted the fatal gunshot wound.
Anwar Ghazali had been indicted for first-degree murder. The jury convicted him of second-degree murder as a lesser-included offense. He was sentenced to 22 years in prison. The Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals affirmed the judgment. The legal ending is clear. But the human question remains unsettled in a different way. A neighborhood heard shots. No call came. A family believed a teenager was somewhere else. A body lay close to the place where the chase began. Dorian Harris was 17. That should remain the center of the story. Not the beer. Not the argument over casings or camera angles. A teenager ran from a store and never made it home. For 2 days, the evidence of what happened waited in plain sight. This episode was AI narrated and produced from public records, including the Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals opinion in State of Tennessee v. Anwar Ghazali. It states only what the court record establishes. Disputed evidence has been attributed to testimony, party arguments, or appellate findings.